You've actually come up on this podcast once before.
In a negative?
No, in a positive way.
Oh,
So a lot of the podcast, it's kind of been like stories of like mad gigs, crazy audience members, and Susan Riddle was talking about the time when she was hosting, and
McCool's was this.
yeah,
She was brazen enough, the audience member in question. So
yeah,
but yeah, she'd been emceeing and chatted to a woman that quite openly was stating that she was having an affair with someone.
yeah,
And I think she felt really quite safe because she was a long way from home, and the place that she's from is such a tiny, obscure place. Turns out she's actually from Gairloch, where my family were from, on the northwest coast of Scotland. And when I took to stage, it was amazing. Like, her face dropped, and
Did she know who you were?
she knew my family, yeah.
Right.
And we've since met. Actually, I haven't had
No
a chance
way.
to tell Susan that, but back up in Gairloch we met, and it was just this really awkward kind of knowing chat. Yeah, but it was hilarious. And actually, her and her ex-husband, they have separated now.
Yeah, I was
He's
going to
living
say.
in Plough, and but it was such a rare occurrence that anyone
Yeah.
even knows those places, let alone be there.
That must have just been surreal for you. So you backstage, you're hearing
Great.
that happening. You're like, oh, thank God.
Gold. Yeah, sometimes you get a wee gift, and that was one of them. And we're very happy together now.
Yeah, I mean that must top it from being. Is that probably one of your maddest audience interactions?
There's certainly been madder audience in terms of the scale of psychoticness, but in terms of just the chances of something like that happening, that was pretty obscure, man.
Yeah, I don't think anyone could ever top that in terms of unique chance opportunity that's ever going to happen.
It was. I mean, someone actually had been to Plough as well, where my gran's been, and that was pretty. I mean, that's even smaller than Gairloch. So someone had said they'd been to Plough, and they'd actually brought up the Plough market. It happens every Tuesday. It's a big event in the village. It was that blew my mind. So that was mad for me. I was like, wow,
Holy shit!
You know our secrets.
So in terms of like psychoticness, is there anything that can?
The craziest gig I can always remember, you know, off the top of my head, this is the one that I always think of. There used to be a comedy club called Red Door Comedy Club.
Okay.
It wasn't around for too long.
Right.
I don't know if this gig was a direct correlation to it not being.
It normally is, to be fair.
It was, and this particular gig was in Linlithgow, for anyone that might be listening to this in Linlithgow.
Yeah.
It's like, we went to a kind of random gig. Now, there's a couple of key things that people should know at the start of this. One is that there was loads of people from the Navy that were back on shore that had come to this gig. So there's always a little bit of kind of, they're pleased to be back, they're going.
Yeah.
And the headline act was also the Reverend Obadiah Steppenwolf the third.
Right, yeah.
And those two things, it was like a
chaos.
powder keg.
Yeah.
The crowd had been a bit reckless, and they'd been a bit rowdy. But when he went on and started being the Reverend and saying the things the Reverend says, and really not taking any shit, and starting to talk back to these people in a real, I can't even remember the exact thing that fired it off, but it really sticks in my head that just all of a sudden there was a chair flying towards the stage at the Reverend, and a whole fight kicked off then with people trying to stop them getting to the stage. All the time we were just sitting up the back, and it was kind of this wee room, seeing furniture flying, and the Reverend.
Have you been on yet?
Jim was just no, I'd been on actually.
Right, okay.
So we were just like, we didn't think it could get much worse, really.
Yeah.
But when you see chairs flying, like it was some sort of brawl breaking out, like a wrestling match, because you get a Reverend looks like a kind of villain, you know.
Yeah, and for context, he says some of the most wild stuff you'll ever hear on stage. He'd really, because he's in the character, he kind of just says whatever he wants.
But as mad as it was to see an actual out and out fight then break out within the gig, he stood stock still on stage watching it. The chair didn't really, I think it kind of bounced off him, but he just kind of stood on there, every so often chipping in with a kind of shout or a put down. But once it became more of an infight between people in the crowd and the staff, and no one knew what was happening, once it just settled down enough, Jim was on stage and he just went, you know, it's times like this that people like me and Chris and all the other acts, we think probably should have tried harder at school and done something better with our lives. But in his accent, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just a remarkable moment to think,
Wow. Christ. And then Lithgow as well. Quite a nice little place.
Aye.
Nice wee place.
Wasn't expecting it.
And it just kicks off, chairs thrown. Yeah,
But quite exciting.
Yeah, it is.
It was quite new as well, so you think, whoa.
Oh, how were you like proper new into comedy at
I
this
think
point?
I was maybe, I don't know, four years into it or something like that. And so it felt like, wow, this is exciting.
Does this happen all the time?
This could be in a book.
Yeah.
But that never happened.
That'd probably just be a footnote in his book as well, in Obadiah's.
That's the least mental thing that's ever happened. That's his quietest gig.
Yeah, I've only ever gigged with him once, and it was to like 8 people in a basement in Morningside.
Brilliant.
And I didn't get the experience.
I'd have loved to have seen him.
It was, and I walked into the toilet as he was kind of getting changed, and he just went, "I'm Jim," and I was just like, "Cool, let's see how this goes." And it was mental, but he didn't have enough to play off.
It's so wild. He's probably the epitome as well of, if people don't know the character, the Reverend, played by Jim, who's incredible. But he is the epitome of someone that's the polar opposite of, people like you can get into characters, so you can say whatever you like.
Yeah.
But then in real life, he's just like really quiet, soft spoken, real friendly.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, it was so nice.
On stage, he's just a testament to how good the character is realised that it's not that.
Yeah, I just think they must get that mindset when you have a character and you kind of go, this isn't technically me. I can say whatever I want up here. And they do.
Yep.
And he does especially. Wow. So you're not in a hurry to go back to Lithgow anytime soon, then, Chris?
No. Do you know, I was back. I didn't know it actually even existed, so I felt terribly ignorant. But the last time I was in Lithgow was last August, because they have that music festival. Am I thinking of the right place?
What one?
It was like something by the castle, or I don't know, the castle. It's next to the water in the castle, and so it's something about being next.
Party at the Palace?
Party at the Palace.
There we go.
And it was amazing. I couldn't believe I hadn't heard about it. They had good acts on, like music as well, and it was really family orientated. It wasn't like you were turning up to Tea in the Park and thinking, well, I get out of here.
Because people sit like picnic blankets and stuff like that. I've heard people take like huge big like joints of meat and they're carving up meat and just sitting watching the music.
And then and the comedy tent, they had Angela Barnes and Steve Bennett and Scott Bennett, I should say.
Steve Bennett.
So
he was there.
It was really nice, and I was like, is this like a new thing? This Party at the Palace? Like, no, it's been running for years. I was like,
yeah,
I'll come back.
Yeah, I've never been, but I've just said it's just a really nice
vibe,
chill, because you don't really kind of get that at other Scottish music festivals. I was actually, I don't know how it came about. I was actually reading the headline of, remember when someone stole a cash machine from Tea in the Park?
Yeah.
I was just like, so proud. Did you ever do it? Have you ever done?
Yeah, I did Tea in the Park. In fact, speaking of characters, I used to do another character called Damien Crowe.
Right.
Who was the world's worst goth.
Right.
And I got booked to do Tea in the Park, because I think they thought, that'll suit it really well, because I had full goth regalia and white face and black and chains, but then I played the accordion, so it was like Kaylee music.
Yeah.
All this build up of angst, but then I'm like playing this jolly Kaylee music. And that really didn't go down well with the Tea in the Park audience. In fact, I remember it being so awful, but then still in awe of the fact that Tom Stade was doing the same gig.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say, and all the other acts were dying in our hole going up in this Tea in the Park stage. But Tom Stade still managed to do this phenomenal gig, because he was one of them, really. He was like, Tea in the Park, yeah, baby, and going down, just high-fiving. And so we were all trying to play it like a gig, and he was just like...
Yeah, he's like, this is something special, yeah.
So, yeah, kudos to him for being able to pull that off. But
I mean, that's pretty cool to say you've done Tea in the Park, because I mean, what age are you? Like... Because I'm like 30.
Sore one.
I'm 36, 37, like next one.
Right.
So that was like when you grew up in Scotland, Tea in the Park was the thing. I would, if Tea in the Park was still going out, I would love to play it.
Yeah, it was. Do you know, I did it twice, and both times I'd have to say the gigs were not enjoyable.
Yeah.
And half the bonus of anyone getting offered to do the music festival gigs was always that you got passed for the festival.
Of course, that's it.
And so my brother always loved it. My brother was always saying, are you getting to do Rockness? Are you getting to do Tea in the Park?
Yeah.
He would always come as my +1. But the gigs were tough. And I think Tea in the Park especially, because it's so big and there's so much going on.
Yeah.
the comedy tent or the kind of variety tent was normally just where people were kind of wandering through out of curiosity to have a bit of a come down or a little bit of a seat, or they were just starting to get a bit mad with it and heading out. So
Yeah.
it was also a pretty big stage.
Yeah. I remember.
So it wasn't like there was a huge audience, but it's a stage set up for bands. So you've got this huge stage, a huge gap, a fence, and then like 15, 20 people in this massive tent listening to you tell a joke about your balls. And so it's very surreal. It felt cool getting to do it.
Yeah.
But the reality of it's like, you know.
Yeah, that all those like variables, circumstances just sounds awful for comedy.
When they put things in smaller, and the Rock Nest one, you'd ask any comic that ever did Rock Nest, that was the great festival to do, man.
Yeah.
They had a tiny little tent. They probably would squeeze 50, 60 people into it. It was always rammed. Everyone got tickets for the whole weekend. It was just a real community feel. They had so many comics would do it over the weekend.
Yeah.
So it was like, I actually felt like every year that was like a kind of comedian's knees up.
Oh, really? I'd love the Rock. I went just to watch. And like, was one of my favourite festivals.
That was cool. And you know, Wicker Man, bizarrely, was always a good one for comedy. Like any of the kind of, it must be something about those kind of slightly smaller, kind of more hippie-esque.
Yeah.
So the people that are a bit more open to being like, comedy tent, let's go and check it out, rather than just, let's get mad with it, watch a band, slam tent.
Slam tent. Yeah, you put the slam tent anywhere in proximity to comedy, it's not going to go well.
Wicker Man was a nice one. People really came in, listened. It was kind of during the day. And Belladrum actually was really nice because it was literally, they would do it after the festival finished. That's how sophisticated it was, that once the last acts were finished, pretty much everyone there goes in to watch the comedy show at night.
Oof.
It was beautiful.
Oh, so it was like a nice thing, because like normally like 1 o'clock audiences at festivals are normally quite sketchy.
It was bizarre. It was really nice. I would like to go. I would do a music festival again if I kind of brought back doing like more musical comedy, and like so it just feels like you're actually you're doing the comedy thing but you're actually just rocking out, so you can kind of feel like.
Can you play more than the accordion then?
I mean, I can play the guitar, but not to any great. I can play the guitar as well as the type of wanker at a party can be like 2 a.m.
Yeah,
I'll play a song. I'll play a few chords, sing a song. So enough to be a musical comedian.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to do them kind of UK ones. You've done comedy abroad.
Yeah. I've been lucky over the years to. Bizarrely, I was actually just talking about this the other day. My first gig overseas, bizarrely, was in Canada.
Right.
And that's what I was talking to Kate Hammer about, was because I was relatively new when this came up. I think I'd only been going for 2 years.
Right.
And now there used to be a big competition in Canada called the Great International Canadian Laugh Off.
Okay.
International Laugh Off. And it was run by Yuck Yucks, which is like their big chain.
Yeah, their comedy clubs, yeah.
But they would always have like an open application for internationals. So they would normally always have 2 to 3 UK competitors, someone from South Africa, Australia, and a couple of Americans as well. And so I just put my name down, not really expecting much. And it just so happened I got picked out of the kind of lottery to go.
Oh my God.
Now, it was bizarre going over at first thinking, I get to go over and do a gig overseas. This is mad. I was staying in a dingy wee hostel.
Did you have to pay for everything like that?
Yep. They gave you a small subsidy for the flights, but you had to sort your own accommodation.
Yeah.
Unless, which eventually it bizarrely ended up happening, I got through the rounds, and once I got to the semi-final, they put you up into a hotel.
Oh, no way.
And then I made it to the final. I had to keep staying long, and it was such a weird experience early on, being in a hostel for like a few days, waiting to hear, and then getting to move into a hotel and thinking, I must have made it already. And the funniest thing is, I did the final, and it was televised in Canada on the Canadian Comedy Network. And you can imagine when you're young and just thinking, this is it. Like,
I've made it.
I've broke Canada. But I swear to God, the after party, I didn't win it. A great Canadian comic who now still comes over to Edinburgh Fringe called Graham Clark won it. And it was for 25,000 Canadian dollars they used to do every year. 2 days after I came back, I was signing on at the time, and I was in the job centre. And they were like,
wow,
how's your week been and stuff? And, I'm like,
back to reality.
I haven't found a job. So it was such a surreal thing.
So in your head, you're like, well, this is it. I'm a comedian now.
And I also remember it because, giving away my age right enough, but MySpace was still a big thing as well.
I'll look at
that's where
Coben
all
in the corner laughing at us.
So that's where all the chat was with the other comics we met,
Yeah.
and like when it was going to be on telly and stuff, and I'd get a random message from someone in Canada being like, "Hey, just saw you on the thing, and it was cool."
Oh, that's so good, man.
But that was it. You had that wee short burst when you start out thinking, maybe I should move to Canada. That's what. Like, oh no, it's a long hard graft.
Yeah. There's no shortcuts here.
Oh, I need more than 5 minutes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Although to be fair, winning 25,000 Canadian dollars is so good. You wouldn't be sitting on the dole if you're winning that.
Do you know someone was so upset? I don't want to say his name in case it ever people found out, but there was two particular standouts in the final. Graham
Right.
that won it, and another act.
Right.
And a lot of people thought he was going to win it. Actually, maybe myself included. He did a really good gig, but he was furious that he lost. Like, I've seen people being annoyed. Like, competitions in comedy are part and parcel, but they're horrible, really. But he was so annoyed he lost it when we were all backstage. Then Graham had just been up and got his prize, and he won a set of steak knives. They did it as a kind of joke. Second place gets these steak knives, and he backstage went into the bathroom, and everyone just heard this big crash. And he'd gone into the bathroom and he'd actually like ripped the paper towel dispenser thing off the wall. And he came out, and we were like, no way, man. He really needed that money. I hope he's okay. You know,
He ain't taking that well.
and I just, again, you're quite new, so just any sort of kind of, wow, that was exciting. Like, backstage. But that was it. Again, as a young comic, and we got to go to this after party in a Swiss place, and it was free booze. And there was another act that had come up from America that I got on with really well, and his mate had come up to watch the final. And we were really drunk, all I can say. And I kept in touch with him for quite a while. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I found out he was in jail. He'd robbed a bank.
Whoa.
I was like, holy shit, you know, like
Someone's taking
the
a turn.
different directions that people end up.
Yeah. Wow.
So shout out to him.
Shout
He
out to
actually
him.
just got out. That's why it's in my head that he got out last year, and I was seeing his like reintegration and social media being like, I'm back out and I'm trying to get.
Is he trying to do comedy again?
Don't know, but he should. He must have some stories.
Prison stories, man. Yeah, that's your material right there. That's a French show. Prison. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But I was actually looking up all the names of the finalists last weekend, or like 2 weekends ago, because JJ Whitehead was over from Canada.
Yeah.
And he was saying, oh, no way, like who else was on? I'll probably know them. And it was giving the wee lowdown and bit of comedy gossip, you know,
Yeah, oh
backstage.
God, yeah. Everyone loves it. Well, people pretend they don't. Everyone loves it.
I love it.
Yeah, even in like normal life, I'm very much not a gossip. But then as soon as it comes into comedy, I'm like, hey, you'll never guess what's happened.
Yeah. I feel terrible for it. I think,
Yeah.
and genuinely, I feel like I'm thought of as quite a nice guy and don't say anything bad about anyone. But I love hearing other people say bad things about other folk. You know, even if it's about me, if there's gossip on the go, I love to hear
It's
it.
so wild, isn't it? It's almost because it is essentially our work. It's our colleagues.
Aye.
You just want to hear the dirt.
And because most of the time you're by yourself, traveling to and from places,
Yeah.
so you kind of need to hear what's going on. You seek a wee bit of connection.
I mean, I always hear about things like 3 months after they've happened.
Aye.
I by no means have my finger on any kind of pulse.
Yeah.
But someone will tell me, and I'll be, all right, when did that happen? Last week? No, that was 3 years ago.
It's the only reason, and I would love to be the first person to what a horrible thing to say, to condemn the Scottish Comedy Forum. But it's a wonderful thing to stay as a wee sleeper on.
Yeah.
Because every so often you will get a text to say, did you see that post
Get
in
on the forum.
I'm
Get
like,
on
no.
the forum.
Oh, gossip.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's died down now as well.
Yeah.
It's properly, it's not as,
People have,
it's not
people
as-
have got scared.
yeah, I think I said, and I think I've posted on it once.
Yeah.
Got gigs off it in the first few years of doing comedy.
It's
not
great
got a,
when
it's
it's
not got a
used for
purpose.
its own thing.
It's not got a purpose now
No.
for me. But again, like I'm just in there in the background, notifications on, just waiting for something to blow up. And when it does, you're like, oh, this is good. This is good. So you've done kind of Canada. Have you done anywhere else?
Well, bizarrely, there was a run of 3 years where myself and now a comic that doesn't do comedy anymore, but good guy, great comic, David Connor. Me and him and a guy called Jerry McLaughlin, who didn't ever really do stand up, but he was in the kind of comedy world and he used to work in the Lemmy show as like an actor and stuff.
Oh, cool.
But he had family out in Pennsylvania, of all places, a place,
Nice.
Hellertown. And next to that in Bethlehem, they have a huge Celtic festival.
Cool.
So a perfect opportunity that he approached them and was like, I could bring over a couple of Scottish acts, we could put on comedy shows. And it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Like 3 years in a row, we went over to this place getting paid to do this, and the place we stayed was in the pub, the Braveheart pub.
Oh, brilliant! How like was it tacky?
Do you know it was one of the least tacky type of Scottishy.
Yeah.
But everything was really decked out, as you can imagine. But the whole festival then in Bethlehem, beautiful. But even just the fact that we lived in this pub, I mean, we'd be over there for a week, and every night was kind of carnage, really. So you feel guilty if you don't live up to the stereotypes at some points. But really cool, and it's lovely to always be the fish out of water.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
so good.
any Scottish act, I'd say we all did well, and I believe any Scottish act would do well in America because they hear the accent and they think it's funny. And even I'd went to school over there when I was younger, and one of the first things that someone I met over there would continually say to me was just, "Hey, say banana." And that was it. I'd be like, "Banana." He'd be like, "Oh, I can't believe you sound like that." So it was really easy. And
that's your set, just banana.
That was easy. But no, if you get the opportunity to travel with any job, I guess it feels great. And this year, for the first time, and I know lots of people have done it before, I got to do the Dubai and Abu Dhabi tour with the Laughter Factory, and they were great. Again, that basically is almost, I would say, 90% expats.
Right, yeah.
But you tour around the different hotels in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and you get to see a lot of these incredible sites. And they do put you up everywhere you go, and every hotel over there is just like...
Yeah. I can't imagine there's like a 2-star hotel in Dubai. I can't imagine that exists.
It's mad. I felt guilty as well because my wife, and still a fairly small child, 19 months at the time, Lily had just fallen pretty ill the day before I was leaving. And basically the first day there, Eleanor's saying, "Look, we've both got this illness now. We're both kind of projectile vomiting." And I'm like, I wish I didn't have to work so much. And I'm really just sitting by a swimming pool, for the first 10 hours of a day.
You playing it down as well, being like, it's not that good.
Yeah, I can't believe I've got to do another 20 minutes tonight. Oh no.
It's mad when you think about it, that's
I know.
flown over to the other side of the world to just do 20 minutes of comedy and get put up. It's insane.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the main reasons I kind of like got into it, because I could see like that was like kind of one of the end goals of it, of just traveling around and seeing places.
Do you know, and it does feel odd now, and like you can almost take it for granted. But the other thing I always think it's good to remember is, even though it feels, I don't want to say it never feels easy, there's always still a sense of nervousness and trepidation when you're doing a gig. But even though it is just 20 minutes, and for us now, because we've been doing it so long, that doesn't feel like a lot of time.
Yeah.
And never mind the travelling or the mental exhaustion of thinking about you're just going to go up there and get judged by a room full of strangers.
Yeah.
It's still very difficult for anyone else that isn't in comedy or public speaking to think, you go up and speak for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I always think it's quite good to remember that, because the minute you think, that's all we do, it's pretty cool that you just go up and speak to a room full of people for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I'll continue to tell my wife, that it actually it is a hardship to have to speak for 20, sometimes 25 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. When you think of it like that, people blown away by a 5-minute set.
Yeah.
People are like, "How do you remember everything?" And you're just kind of like, you go, and then you tell them, "Oh, you do like a 50-minute show at the Fringe," and they're like,
You're
can't
just
handle
up there
it.
chatting away.
Yeah, it's a mad job when you think about it. It's insane, but I mean, it's
Self-indulgent bastards.
You mentioned you used to like live in America. Now, I basically kind of look things up about guests when they come on, and I saw you were prom king when you were over in America.
Prom king, baby.
That's so cool. How much of a typical American high school life did you have?
It was mad, and for this reason, maybe because I turned 40 this year and I've really been looking back and stuff more. But that last year of high school out there was so bizarre, so surreal, because it really felt like a movie.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm doing my show at this year's Edinburgh Fringe, which is called Court Gesture,
Yeah.
which is about being over there trying to play basketball. And it was so stereotypical. I didn't think it would be, and I was a cheesy wee guy even in Scotland. I loved Dawson's Creek. And
Yeah.
but it was, the quarterback was called Luke Chase, and he went out with the head cheerleader.
Did he actually? Oh, that's
and
beautiful.
she had a convertible car that her dad's that she drove to school, and all the different cliques and all that.
Ugh.
It was incredible, but prom king. It's funny, and people have always said, why haven't you spoken about it on stage? And I think because it was such a precious year that I always have fond memories of. I never really thought about it too comically, but I think what sealed the deal for me finally talking about it this year was I found I'm a sensitive soul, evidently, and I'd kept a diary of my whole trip
that's pretty
over
cool.
there.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to hopefully try and use that to kind of chronologically work my way through the different phases of school life. And
That's
it's very,
brilliant.
very cheesy. Some of the entries, as you can imagine, proper Dawson's Creek fan, right? About, love and wanting and, passion and dreams in America.
What age were you at the time then? What age?
16.
Right, okay.
So I couldn't wait to go, but I remember stopping. I actually flew out of Edinburgh Airport. We'd had to travel there, and there was somebody else going out to a different school that we met, and thankfully we were sharing. Her name was Charlene Robbie. It's just come back to me.
Uh-huh.
I don't think you'll ever hear this, Charlene, but we split in Minneapolis. She was off to, I think she was going to Texas, and I was going to Washington State. And I was really pleased, and I still think back to that, because 16's pretty young, really, to just leave your whole family and life.
Yeah.
We were both going over by ourselves to these places, and it was in Minneapolis when we were waiting for our connecting flights. We were like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, we've just left home for a year. Like, we don't know what we're doing, where we're going, who we're staying with.
16's still so young.
Yeah. But it was great. It was really cool. I've still got really wonderful mates that I made from over there, and just looking back on it now, it seems even more bonkers. Like,
Yeah.
That happened.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Was the quarterback furious that he wasn't prom king?
No, well, I tell you what, he was actually. And a lot of people think about prom as being the big thing, and it's the end of the year one, but perhaps there's more glamour attached to the homecoming king.
Oh, was it
and queen.
homecoming? Right, okay.
He was the homecoming king. So
Right, okay.
to do the double, the cup double would have been tough, even for him.
No one does the double.
But I was pretty surprised, and I think it was probably a good portion of the novelty factor for that as well.
Yeah.
Like the first Scottish American prom king.
That's so good.
You actually you get nominated. That's how they worked it. At
Really?
the school I was at, you get nominated to be on the court.
Right.
So, and then for a week there was 5 princes.
What?
Sounds awful.
What?
5 princes and 5 princesses as the kind of king and queen elect.
Okay.
And then people had to vote. So you had to kind of run a campaign to be like, who you vote? Like, vote for me for king type of thing. And I think that was my slogan, like, vote for the first Scottish American king.
Beautiful. Is there a lot of it in this in the diaries about the campaign?
Well, yeah. I mean, actually, I missed the second half of the week of the campaign for a school trip, evidently, that I'd forgotten about. That, so I was like, I've managed to achieve quite a lot on half a campaign. I didn't have the budget of some of these rich American kids. They were backed by firearms and tobacco,
Some arms manufacturer, yeah.
farm foods from Scotland.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it was very cheesy, and I kind of loved it.
Yeah,
for
okay,
that.
you would though. That's the thing. You would. I'm obsessed with American films, everything like that.
Yeah.
So the fact you got to live that out is so cool.
Yeah, it was weird. That was the thing. I loved American culture, and I came back with this horrible American twang. I mean,
How much did you get slagged for that?
One of the first days back, I said the word faucet in front of a couple of my mates.
Oh,
And I was like,
Chris.
hey, I forget you got 2 faucets. And they were like, what the fuck are you saying, mate? Just sat watching Billy Connolly for the next 2 weeks, like, get it back in there. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But yeah, I loved it. And I've been back countless times now, even just to visit. And one of my closest mates over there, I married them when he got married to his now wife. I went over to marry him because, again, it's America, so you can just do stuff like that easy. And then he came over and he emceed my wedding as well.
Brilliant.
So yeah, really, really cool connections.
I was going to ask about that because I'd heard, maybe I think it was last year, that you're an ordained minister.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. Now, I can legally marry people in the state of Oregon and Washington State, but over in Scotland, because we're still pretty kind of, Calvinistically repressed and the religion's so important, that I can't legally marry people in Scotland, but I can perform the ceremony.
Right.
Then they'd have to go to the register the day before or after.
Right.
So I'm not fully qualified as a humanist or anything, but in the Universal Life Church,
Yeah.
which is the
That's the
online
big one.
organisation.
That's the biggie.
You know, Conan O'Brien, you know,
Is
lots
it?
of people sign up to this thing. Anyone can do it.
Oh, really?
So mostly in America, because if you want to marry someone, you can just sign up. I've got a certificate.
Brilliant.
And when you sign up, it says which accessory do you want. So you can order like a cape or a collar or like
cape.
a
It's gotta be
special
cape.
boot. Cape every time.
Gotta be cape.
So no, it was great fun to do that. Even felt very American.
Yeah.
And I got to say the whole thing of by the power vested in me, by the power of Oregon State. You know, it was great.
Oh my God. Would you want to pursue that and like become a humanist here? Because I've been to humanist weddings here and I've been to the Catholic weddings. Catholic ones are so boring.
Yeah, do you know
The humanist ones are a lot of fun.
one thing that I've done is I think weddings it's so difficult because I've got a couple of really good friends that do it that also work in the arts, and it's really tricky because people plan their weddings obviously so far in advance.
Yeah.
So, and in our job, you want to be able to be available for weekends at quite short notice.
Yeah.
But what I have done more of, I've married a few pals even back here, but I've done a lot of naming days and like baptisms for mates.
Been a few of them.
Just because they're like, would you be up for doing it? Because we know you've done kind of ceremonies now as well.
Yeah.
Because essentially that's a bit of stand up, but you're talking about family and
Yeah.
you've got set templates you can follow and make your own. And I do really love speaking at those things because, gigs, there's a bit of fear and trepidation, as we say. You never fully know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
But events like that are everyone's there for the same reason. So everyone's
Yeah.
just rooting for this beautiful day to have
Yeah.
a really nice feel. And as long as you're honest and truthful and bring in, they love it. So it feels really wholesome to
Yeah.
do that. And I'm nothing if not a big cheesy wholesome guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if I'd ever pursue it, but I'm always happy to do things here and there. And sometimes I've said it on stage, and people in the audience have been like, "Oh, we're getting married. Could we keep in touch?" And I've tried to be as open and honest as I can, and if I've been able to do it, I've done it. But
That's so cool, man.
yeah,
Yeah, that's something I've always thought about the kind of, you think about what else can I do with this ability to public speaking, and I have thought about humanist or some kind of thing like that, and I just thought, but I'm also not the biggest believer in marriage, so I don't think I'm the right guy for it.
that'll do it. I wouldn't open with that if I was doing it.
Yeah,
Well, I just
thi-
want to start with saying I don't believe in what you're doing here today.
I think this is a fucking piece of shit. Yeah.
The America one was actually fun when I was marrying my friend over there because again they were like, if you want to kind of Scottish it up a wee bit and all the rest of it, so they were drinking out of a quaich and
Oh, brilliant.
tartan tyne and all this, and I'm making this up as I go. I mean,
Yeah.
no one does this back home, but
Yeah, very rarely do you see a quake at a wedding. That's brought out on a very rare occasion.
Yeah.
Again, we mentioned like your kind of like character stuff at the beginning. There's obviously kind of your other big character out there you do just now. You're the other Murray brother.
the other Murray. So aye, good old Duncan.
Are you still loving it?
I am. I think I'm still surprised, to be honest, that I think it was 2020 or 2020, maybe it was 2019, the first one we did
Yeah.
in terms of a sketch, and very much thought that was a one-off type of thing because it would be odd that we would ever do it again.
Yeah.
Managed to get Judy to do it, but the fact that we've done the stuff that we have
There's
done
so
now
many, man.
is bizarre, and we potentially have an announcement actually very shortly. I don't know, when does this podcast go out?
It'll go out this Thursday coming.
This Thursday coming. Oh, hey! Well, it was cool to announce on Monday just there that we're doing these tour shows, Duncan
Oh, really?
and Judy, in Perth and Aberdeen.
Oh, cool.
Pretty exciting. I hope I've got that right. Better double check.
Yeah, you can double check and
that.
let me know. We can take it out if not.
And all I can say as well is that there's been rumours and talks about potentially going back to the Edinburgh Fringe.
Because I saw the poll you did.
Yeah.
It was an overwhelming poll.
So
I was like there. I saw that and I was like, absolutely on the poll. So
all I can say is that, we potentially might be, but who can confirm these things until
Apart from-
the official dates that you've been told to say things on. But yeah, so there's definitely stuff coming up again.
Yeah.
And we will continue to flog that horse. No, I'm amazed that we keep doing it. And I've actually said a few times now that I'd quite like to kill Duncan.
Oh.
I think artistically it'd be a wonderful thing to do. It depends on how much the mortgage rates keep going up.
Yeah.
Because I can't. I'm slowly really relying on them now. With
Yeah,
the, with
yeah,
the Death of Scott Squad and the farm, and I'm like, oh, can
Let's
I keep doing
bleed this one dry. Yeah.
And but I'd love to kill him off and have like Judy just in a chapel, the only person that turned up for
Yeah,
his,
and she's
you
not
know,
even bothered. She's not even
Yeah.
phased.
like someone had to be here to sign the register.
Yeah, this Andy and Jamie on FaceTime, just not caring.
I think that would be a cool thing to do. But in the meantime, it's great fun. She's so much more fun than I think people that haven't witnessed the shows or have seen her doing other public events
Yeah.
give her credit for. And I think she surprises a lot of people in the
Yeah.
show as well. I
But just even in the videos that are out there just now, it's like she's just, it's
Yeah.
got a really good sense of humour about things.
It's mad. I think Jay Richardson was reviewing the closing gala for Glasgow Comedy Festival, and even in his wee write-up, he was like, she has a comedy timing that she really should not have. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like mad.
Yeah. What's it
You know,
like doing that?
bit
Going
too
from-
funny, actually.
Yeah,
sometimes.
settle
Like,
down.
Wait a minute.
I'm a guy.
Um,
What's it like going from like, because it was all like online sketches, and then you did a few like during COVID, like
Yeah.
the online ones. What's it like doing like going to live shows? Because that's
it was mad. It's a very particular type of audience as well. So
Really?
it's very different from any other type of stand-up or my own shows. There's certainly a particular, I would say, age group and demographic of people that like Duncan and Judy,
yeah,
which is wonderful.
yeah,
Everyone's got their own type of audience. But also I realised what we were doing in the sketches wouldn't work live, in that we're never going to memorise lots of like actual sketches or lines.
Yeah, yeah.
So we set it up as a kind of full chat show, and we drafted in who's now the most important part of the whole show, Des Clark.
yeah,
And he hosts all the shows, and he's kind of like the interviewer, as if he's having this serious sit-down chat
Yeah.
with Judy, but then Duncan's just causing chaos, coming off and on with different people and guests and trying to impress his mum.
yeah.
Because he just really wants her to love him, even though he's terrible at tennis, and he just tries anything he can possibly.
That voice is so good, man.
It's weird. Yeah.
Was that like a first draft of a voice, or you just like, I've nailed this? This is the voice.
Well, no, do you know, that's the good thing is, because people always say, oh, because you can kind of do like an Andy Murray thing, but I don't even think of it as that. I'm not actually good at impressions, and if I'm not, because I'm not being Andy,
Yeah.
I'm being Duncan. I'm like, as long as I sound vaguely like him,
Yeah, it just got to be in that ballpark.
if I'm anywhere close to him and Jamie, it's believable.
Yeah. And do people still, to this day, they're only just clicking on that it's not real? Is that still happening?
Yes, it's incredible, and I've not moaned about this before. I've mentioned the fact before that on Twitter, that's where Duncan kind of operates more.
Yeah.
But he's so much more popular than me. And I sometimes find that hard, that I've
Yeah.
kind of created a monster.
Yeah.
I've been going for ages, let's just say,
Yeah.
and have I don't know, a few thousand followers, and he's got over 30,000, and because he still gets new people every other day. If I check his account, he'll have someone quite heartachingly saying, I've only just found out that you aren't real, and I'm heartbroken, like, because I think people really grow to think, look at this
Yeah.
lovable guy that's kind of making a joke out of the fact that he's not as good as his brothers, and he does these things with his mum, and then
Oh my
I
God.
find out, I almost feel like I've scammed people.
Yeah.
That was a fear for the live shows when we went
Yeah.
to the live shows first. That I thought
Imagine
they'd be
people
like,
finding out there.
yeah, they're like, wait, is this you're kidding? And
Oh
we've
my
come
God.
to see.
We
you know,
thought this
Duncan,
was it.
a real guy.
Yeah.
Hear about your life. No, it's just me jumping about on a pogo stick. Yeah, I've seen people have written like threads about how disappointed they've been when they found out, or how they've discovered it. And
So many videos, Chris. There's so many. I don't understand how anyone
yeah,
could watch maybe like two and still not get it.
it's weird. And someone, but I think the thing was as well, people just thought that Duncan was real and he's just made a good laugh out of his situation.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Kelsey brothers that were in the Super Bowl, like
Yeah.
they actually do have a third brother that
Oh, really?
play American football, and he made a video, and his mum was in it and stuff, and he was talking about how he doesn't play, and so everyone was like, "No way, someone's ripped off your idea." But I was like,
I think that's real. Yeah, that's real. That's his real life.
yeah. So
That's got to be
think-
tough for him.
I think that's why it's kind of believable. That people know that. Oh yeah, maybe they do have a brother. We just, we don't.
Because it is believable.
Yeah.
It is. But I mean, it's when you see the circumstances on the videos, you're like,
sure.
that's not real.
Yeah.
Fringe will be very exciting for you then. 2 shows potentially.
Yes. Aye. So I'm just doing a half run, which feels like it's a good safe bet for sanity of my own solo show one, and then the Duncan and Judy stuff. We may or may not be doing, two shows, which would be good.
Oh, cool.
Good
So
way
yeah,
to
you're not
finish
having to exhaust that. You're just kind of just doing a wee dipping in.
Because I think then we'd lose the spontaneity. The live shows work really well because a lot of the time we don't tell Judy what's going to happen, and then
really?
see her react to it, and it's beautiful.
Do you ever break character when you're doing it? Are you ever,
No,
are you ever just like, this is so...
I really try not to be honest. So it's quite good, but because I do get to come off and on doing different madcap schemes, sometimes I come off at the side and I do it. Even I'm kind of like cracking up like, when that was ridiculous. Or
Yeah.
that I actually just shout "fuck Wimbledon." I mean, it's so random that I've just done that in front of Judy Murray, and yeah,
Brilliant. Oh, cheers very much for coming in, man. This has been great.
thanks for having me.
There is one last thing before you go. I get all the guests you get to recommend or suggest a guest I should try and get on the podcast for a future episode. So you can use your imagination. It can be anyone. It can be famous. It could be. It could be absolutely anything, and I have to try and get them on the podcast.
Oh, I see. Oh, cool. So not someone that's like on the circuit. That
No,
get on?
because I think the ones that like if it's very doable, that kind of always makes it too easy. So
Wow.
Yeah.
How about Tim Peake?
Tim Peake,
Now he was
the astronaut.
Yeah, man. Get him down here.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that.
Bring him right down to earth.
Yes.
That'd be pretty cool, man.
Tim Peake, I like that. That's a brilliant one. That's probably the first one I've actually been happy with.
Is that right?
Yeah, I love anything space.
I've got a bit of a space kick. I just think he'd be interesting. I read his book. I'm purely asking because maybe you will reach out to him and you'll come back and just sit over in the corner there where you.
Yeah,
we can listen in.
That's my favourite one so far. Brilliant.
And just never mention space.
yeah. What you been up to? Was your holidays this year?
Ever travelled abroad?
Thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks, Ralph.
Brilliant,
Pleasure.
Man. Thanks very much. Cheers. See ya. Bye. Oh, Tim Peake, mate. That's phenomenal.